What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of NFL Turf Talk live here on a Sunday morning to get you ready for Week 10. We're into double digits, Scotty. Guys, if you're new to the channel,
amazing.
Make sure to check us out on all social media platforms. Hit that follow button, specifically on the Twitter channel. And then check out the link tree in our bio. It will take you directly to every social media site we are on, including the NFL Turf Talk YouTube channel, which is the best and only spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up like my man D-Rab is right now. If you are watching on Twitter, if you're watching replay form on Twitter, we cannot see your comments for whatever reason through StreamYard still. So make sure to tap into the YouTube channel specifically if you want to be interactive with us. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Happy Sunday, my man, and what is going on?
Yes, sir. Happy Sunday. Happy to be back on here with you, and a couple good games to get into, man. There's some marquee matchups today. It's definitely better than last week, I feel like. So we'll see if it actually plays out like the storylines tell going into these games. But nonetheless, I'm excited for the week, man. Obviously, it's Philly versus Dallas week. Even with all of the juice kind of, taken out of it, I'm still ready to go into Dallas and dominate those fuckers. So at the end of the day, I'm still juiced up for the game. I'm not expecting us to take the foot off the gas today.
No.
I'm expecting to drive Dallas straight into the depths of hell. So yeah, I'm excited to I'm getting into pregame show right now. We're not going to get into that too much right now, but I'm just giving you the narrative, the storyline of the weekend. Obviously that's not even the biggest game. And I think that's the crazy part when an Eagles Cowboys game isn't the biggest game of the weekend. You look at Pittsburgh and Washington; those are two-loss teams going directly at it. Detroit and Houston. Houston should be getting Nico Collins back. Am I misreading that?
Seems like it.
Should be getting him back, so we know how much wide receiver ones can help their quarterbacks, especially the young ones. The Jets and Cardinals, man, it's not like it's this like marquee matchup record-wise, but for what the Jets have on paper versus what the Cardinals are trying to prove themselves to be, I think that's a big matchup. But we had some Thursday night football action, man. 34-35 Ravens W over the Bengals. I thought that game was crazy. Two quarterbacks that are just playing like out of their minds right now.
Absolutely wild.
But how you feeling today, my man? I'm
feeling good, man. It's the first Sunday in about a month and a half that I felt good or refreshed on a Sunday morning. So this is what
the Phillies had you on a bender. I'm playing, dude. I'm playing.
I'm good, man. That Thursday night game was wild. The thing that sucks about it when you look back now is, and it just always seems to be not just primetime football, but Thursday night football specifically, a critical no call at the very end of the game, the 2-point conversion for the Bengals that would have given them a 36-35 lead in the final minute and a half or so of that ball game. How do you miss it? Like, I don't know. They missed the Sam Darnold face mask in the end zone 2 or 3 weeks ago, and now they missed this. And then there's the screenshot circulating of like not 1, not 2, but 3 hands to the face and face mask type penalties. And if it's the one on Burrow, it's technically roughing the passer because you hit him up high. It's a critical call that can't be missed, man. I'm okay with letting guys play, especially at the end of games. I don't want the whistles to decide a game, but when it's that blatant, when it's that drastic, that's altering the game in the other way. And you just can't have it because it takes away from such a great game. And it just feels like we talk about this every year. Multiple times a year. We talked about it in the Super Bowl in the biggest moments. And it's just it's a flag when it shouldn't be, or there's no flag when there definitely should be, and they just can't seem to get it right. And we're back to this conversation of there's no accountability, there's no punishment for these terrible.
It just happened the week before. It happened the week before, like the same exact situation, man. To the point where Jared Verse is in the end zone, grabbing his head because he knows he grabbed his face mask and it wasn't called. And like, what I wanted to ask you as you're talking through that, man, like, what do you do about it? Because do you allow like the officials to go back and then review this, like, you know, one of
Right.
those instantaneous reviews.
I just don't know how there's
It
no
shouldn't be
expedited
missed,
review
though.
for something like that. Because I
Yeah,
think you don't want to slow the game down because you go down a rabbit hole
with reviewing
with
everything,
reviewing everything. You can't do it. I
the
understand that.
holding every play.
But I don't understand how some of the things they can review seem so stupid and so
Yeah.
asinine. Like if I don't know, how do I want to put this? If all right, here's one. The point of a challenge flag used to be, and hurry up offense used to be, you know, maybe a guy didn't catch the ball. Like, remember Smitty in the NFC Championship game? He didn't catch the ball, right? And we hurried up and we got the playoff. Now they're basically taking any of the pressure off, and they'll expedite it from New York. And
You don't even have to decide on it.
Whistle. Yeah, you don't have to throw the challenge flag. You don't. The offense can't hurry up. They'll blow the whistle immediately and say, actually, you know, he didn't catch it, or a short first down call that a ref misses.
Yeah.
They'll expedite that. So my question is, if you can do that in the beginning or middle of a game with 35 seconds left on the clock, how can you not just – how can New York not chime in and go, actually, he ripped this guy's helmet off? So
yeah, like, let's not make our sport look fraudulent on national television.
Because that just takes 2 seconds, Scott. Like, it's not this long, drawn-out process. It would take 2 seconds for New York to get in the headset and go, yo, drop a flag now.
And maybe this ends the Bengals season. Maybe not. Maybe it does. Maybe they make the playoffs still. But it's a win they could have had, man, if the penalties are called. And it's not even I shouldn't even say that. It's not that they definitely would win. It's just that we would have had a fair called game.
And they would have got the ball on the 1 yard line, and then we see what happens, and then Lamar gets the ball back. Nonetheless, it was a fantastic game. I mean, Jesus Christ, Joe Burrow, 428 yards, 4 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, obviously, they were down 21-7 midway through the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then I think they scored on 4 straight possessions, touchdown. Just high flying offense in this one. And the Bengals, my friend, have a Ja'Marr Chase problem. And what I mean by that is you better be ready to open up those wallets, my man, because didn't want to give the man his money. Mm-hmm. And look what he's doing on primetime against possibly the best team in the AFC, against a division rival. 264 and 3 tutties. You better be ready to pay, brother.
Why doesn't he deserve more than Justin Jefferson? Like, why doesn't he? I'm not saying that he's definitely better than Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying that. Justin Jefferson is one of the best wide receivers that we've seen in the last couple of years. But Ja'Marr Chase, man, like right now he has 981 yards, 10 touchdowns to Justin Jefferson's 783 and 5 touchdowns. I'm not saying they're better, whatever. Why doesn't he deserve more money than Justin Jefferson if the price goes up every time?
Especially because we know across other position groups that's just not how it works. Like, it's like the best player, it's not just some numerical value, some numerical order and rankings of, well, this is the best quarterback, so he's going to get the top. No.
It's the best player on your team.
Yeah, and the market just resets itself each and every year. I mean, dude, there was one point in time that 2 years ago, Jalen Hurts signed the biggest contract at that time. And then literally within a week, someone else topped it. And then Trevor Lawrence topped it. And then someone else topped it. The market just keeps resetting, right? So, yeah, just because he wants, Justin Jefferson money or to top him, like you said, is he better than Justin Jefferson? I wouldn't say so, but
consistency
is he not in the conversation of top wide receiver in the league? Yeah, he is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys made a mistake. Right? You guys made a mistake playing hardball all offseason.
And why?
All offseason.
Why? You knew that he was the best player on your team, skill position wise. Obviously, Joe Burrow is that guy as well with the numbers he's putting up this year. But Ja'Marr Chase, like, you're not going to bring him back. Like, Ja'Marr Chase or T. Higgins, you didn't sign either of them. You didn't sign Joe Mixon. What is Cincy doing, man? Like,
I feel like I watch a player in their secondary league every year. They didn't re-sign Jesse Bates. They didn't re-sign. I think there was a slot corner that left them. Like, they just, I don't know what they're doing. And
Jesse Bates now the best safety in the NFL and on Atlanta, right?
Right. If we're being honest, the reason they're relevant is because they do have a top 4 or 5 quarterback in the National Football League.
Yeah.
And he's good enough with a playmaker like Ja'Marr Chase to score a lot of points and win games. Even though they're 4-6 this year, it's why they've been relevant, and they're not ran properly. Also, Zach Taylor stinks. We've talked about this before. He stinks, man. And I don't know how much of it was the play call, how much of it was Joe Burrow, but you had a 4th and 2. I believe in field goal range, even you decide not to take the points. You decide to go for the 4th and 2, and you throw a go ball down the left boundary to like the 3rd string wide receiver.
And it was after you already threw a go ball on 3rd down.
Yeah, the play before. So,
like you said, I don't know if that's Burrow or if that's Taylor, but Taylor makes some dumbass mistakes.
I do want to say before we get into today's slate, we talked a lot about the Bengals and what they're doing wrong. The Ravens went out and won this game regardless, and Lamar Jackson.
Did this give you a more positive outlook on them, though? Let me ask you that. Like, do you feel better about the Ravens after this game?
You know what, man? I want to say yes, and here's why. Look, big picture, I don't know, because that defense is a concern. That secondary is a major concern if you're trying to win a championship.
Like, if they can't stop Ja'Marr Chase, imagine like their secondary versus a duo, right?
Yeah. So. That is the worry when it comes to them. But I haven't really seen them come from behind. I feel like that's been a recipe for Lamar in Baltimore. They like to get up early, and then they like to take your heart from you with the running game. 21-7 in your own crib, primetime television. Lamar, I feel like, was running backwards for like 90% of the snaps in the first half and throwing the ball out of bounds and taking sacks and everything. They just immediately create a spark. Big play after big play after big play. Lamar staying in bounds, tiptoeing down the sideline, getting to the 2-yard line, punching it in with Henry. Like, the fact that they were able to come back in that moment against that rival was pretty. It was a pretty nice step forward for me when it comes to the Ravens. I just had
definitely a huge win. Definitely a huge win. A step right back in the right direction. It just. There were still some consistencies with how bad that defense is, specifically against the pass, man. And it's just it doesn't feel normal watching the Ravens be that bad defensively. Yeah, the under 65, man. We should have known. They scored like 70 to 80 points in that first matchup. We should have known.
Scotty, man, why are they poor defensively and in the secondary? They have the personnel.
Kyle Hamilton just went down too, though.
Did he?
He did go down in this game. That's actually something to check, actually.
But like
how severe that is.
My point is, so even before that, if he did go down or whatever, if he's okay, you have Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams. You have a Roquan Smith leading your defense in the middle.
They picked up Tre'Davious White too.
Yeah. I
from the Rams.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't quite get why they seem soft, and that's
Coaching?
just not
maybe.
That's just
not
the identity of the Baltimore Ravens. They're never a soft team. They're never a soft defense.
Yeah, I agree.
They hit you hard, and it just doesn't seem like there's any of that fear against them right now.
Like that Burrow drive down the field to end the game and basically give them a chance to win the game. Like, that's just so not Baltimore. Like, that doesn't happen.
And you got them to a 4th and 10.
You did. Yeah, you did. And you couldn't get them off the field. No. It doesn't feel right. Something is off there. But I do always come out of the Ravens games feeling like, how the hell do you stop Lamar Jackson? And then if you stop him, how the hell do you stop Derrick Henry? And vice versa, right? If you stop Derrick Henry, how the hell do you stop Lamar Jackson? It seems impossible with the way Lamar is playing right now. So they can score points, that's for sure.
I agree. Let's get into today's slate, though, man. We're going to look over some of these games, some of these key matchups, give our predictions and takes on them, and then obviously talk about a betting angle on each and every one of these games. Let's start in Indianapolis. Bills Mafia heading there. Josh Allen, MVP candidate, 7-2, taking on the 4-5 Colts, and I believe Joe Flacco is getting the start again today for the Indianapolis Colts. 4.5-point road favorites are the Buffalo Bills. Total sitting at 46.5 right now, man. I think you mentioned it to me before the show. Line feels a little disrespectful to Buffalo. I don't know really what to make of it. I mean, you are on the road.
Feels
So
weird.
being basically a 5-point favorite on the road is quite telling. It's really like your 7 or 8-point favorites if this game was being played in Buffalo. But are we giving too much credit to Joe Flacco? Are we giving too much credit to this idea that is still Joe, and when he comes back in, he's able, like the Colts? I'm sorry, man. I don't know how to say this nicely. I don't think they're a good team. I don't think they were a good team with Anthony Richardson. I don't think they're a good team with Joe Flacco. I just don't. I don't like their weapons outside of Jonathan Taylor. He's been beat up and just coming back off the IR recently. I don't care for their defense. I don't care for the Indianapolis Colts. So my point is, this is a game where I'm looking at this MVP race. I just talked about Lamar Jackson kind of solidifying his lead right now in that race. I'm looking at Josh Allen, who's been protecting the hell out of the football. 17 passing touchdowns to 2 interceptions this year, changing the narrative. No Stephon Diggs, less help, less weapons, and he looks even better. I'm looking for Josh Allen to go on the road today and have a statement type of victory and go beat up on the Indianapolis Colts. I also saw some tweets that Bills Mafia is traveling quite well to Indianapolis.
I bet.
So it's not like some great home field advantage for the Colts today either.
Yeah, they play in a dome. That's a nice place to travel to and watch a football game. The tickets probably aren't too expensive there in Indianapolis, I'd imagine. Yeah, man, it is interesting because as you described, it just doesn't sound like a situation where the Bills will lose to an underdog with the way Josh Allen is playing right now. He's not turning the ball over. He's not making those mistakes that help out the other team. And to your point, man, I looked at their game last week. Now, mind you, it was against the Minnesota Vikings, but Joe Flacco didn't make the world of a difference in this offense like people have, prescribed him to make. And the main thing, they weren't able to get the run game going, and that's going to be the big thing today. Can they get the run game going against Buffalo? Can they keep the offense balanced and not have Joe Flacco out there, throwing the ball 30-plus times? But Buffalo's defense has been solid this year, man, honestly. And once again, Josh Allen not turning the ball over is huge for the Bills in this one. I'm looking at the Colts defensive numbers right now. It says here on ESPN, the Colts defense ranks overall 29th in the NFL. In the rush defense, they rank 31st. In pass defense, they rank 26th. And scoring defense, they rank 12th. So that's kind of what's keeping them from being the worst defense in the NFL. Right. I guess they get stops in the red zone. Yeah. But I don't know. It just feels like a recipe for Buffalo, like you said, to kind of have like not a prove it game. Like I feel like I've been throwing that around a lot. A lot of these games. They're all prove it games at this point. We want to see what these teams are made of. But once again, just showing consistency, showing that you're growing as a team. I think this is a game that Buffalo should take care of business in.
I agree, man. And I'm looking here. Michael Pittman Jr. out today for the Indianapolis Colts. However, Keon Coleman out for the Bills, and Amari Cooper is questionable.
I did see he had something.
I think he's on pace to play today, but no Keon Coleman, possibly no Amari Cooper, and then no Michael Pittman for Joe Flacco and the Colts. Lacking weapons. Could be a weird game where you try to find a nice little juice touchdown scorer in this one.
Is it a Jonathan Taylor game? Maybe that's how the Colts get in. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's how they control the game if they're able to run the football.
Yep. And they're going to have to. I think to your point, that's the only way the Colts are going to have any success. Because last year they went down to the wire with the Texans, right? Trying to make the playoffs with Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
And now, the Anthony Richardson project just isn't working out. Should they be giving up already on him? No, I don't think he's been given enough time. However, I don't think he's a very good quarterback regardless. So, but also you're not winning anything with Joe Flacco. Last game. So it's not.
Where are you going that you are
trying
to win games with Joe Flacco? That's weird.
Some type of wild card threat in the AFC, and that's kind of where they position themselves standings wise right now. They're 4-5. You win today, you're 5-5. You're right in the thick of it for one of those wild card spots. So Big game for them. I just don't think it's enough. I'm going to take the Bills in this one, probably to cover, and I would look at a touchdown prop, maybe a Josh Allen or James Cook type of touchdown today.
I wanted to ask you something very quickly, and I know we're going to talk about the Texans a little bit later, but looking at the Colts division,
sure,
is that why they go Joe Flacco? Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't even know. Look, I'll put it this way, man. I don't even know if it's so much looking big picture playoff standings as it is just sending a message to the other 50 plus men in that locker room of we're going to put out the best team to try to win each game. Like not like looking towards the standings and go, oh, we can do this, this, and this with Joe. It's, I don't know, man. Maybe the
like
people.
You said.
I mean, you got to remember, the kid tapped out for a play.
His
last game. Like, if you're a veteran on this team, are you bought into this kid leading you guys? And if you're not, that's the message that an organization is probably sending is we're going to put out the best team for our guys to try to win on Sunday afternoons. And that's that.
They win this game. Like you said, they'll be 5-5. And then all of a sudden, if the Texans lose to the Lions tonight, like they should, right? Like on paper, 6-4 versus 5-5. All of a sudden, you're like, what? One game back. So it is interesting, but I don't see the Colts winning this game today.
No.
So I don't think that that's going to matter too much. But
I agree. Could be interesting though. Next one, division matchup: the 5-4 Broncos, led by Bo Nix, going to Arrowhead. This was a game that was talked about, I believe, on our Thursday show by Darius and some others in the comments. 8-0 Chiefs. Is today finally the day that they get a notch in the loss column, Scotty? 7.5 point favorites, totals 42.5. Can Bo Nix go and do it?
I'm going to say no, because it feels like it's too obvious. It feels like everybody is like jumping on the train, and I just don't think it's going to happen when everybody sees it coming. So no, I'm not going to pick the Broncos to win today, especially not in Kansas City as well. Could they cover? Could they make it scrappy? They could, right? Like they had a rough game last week against Baltimore. I think they played. Obviously we know what Baltimore presents as well, but I think the Broncos are better than what they looked like versus Baltimore last week, but still not good enough to go into Kansas City and get a W against the undefeated Chiefs. I will say the Chiefs, for some reason, though, they do. Patrick Mahomes, he just seems to have trouble with the Denver Broncos for some reason when they play. When that defense comes to town, it just always seems to be something. I know it's a division rival, so I could see the Broncos covering. I just don't see them winning, especially if it's a tight game.
Yeah, So I do hear you, man. That Broncos defense is legit. That Broncos defense has given Patrick Mahomes issues in the past. I remember when they were struggling to score in the midway of last year. It was one of the games Russell Wilson and company went and beat Patrick Mahomes. Let me tell you exactly why they're not going to beat the Chiefs today. This. Bo Nix has been fine. Like I'm not trying to dog out Bo Nix. He's been fine. 8 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions on the year. He's got a couple rushing touchdowns. He's been fine. He's leading a 5-4 team, right? With if we're being honest, pretty little help around him on offense. Like he's got Cortland Sutton, who's a career like wide receiver 3, maybe a low end 2, and he's their number 1 by a wide margin right now. He's not going into that building against Spagnuolo and winning the ball game.
It would be ridiculous.
He's not doing it. Like, dude, we watched Steve Spagnuolo and this defense frustrate the hell out of the best quarterbacks in the world, some of the most prolific offenses in the world. Bo Nix is not coming into this building during an undefeated streak, mind you, and giving them their first loss. Bo Nix is going to hit today. Bo Nix is going to turn the ball over today. And if Denver cannot run the ball, they're going to have no choice but to drop him back quite often, and that is not going to work. He said Spags is getting frustrated today. Brother, Not a shot. Not a shot, man.
Oh man, Bo's gonna do the unbelievable. He's got that Tebow gene, man. The winner. He's a winner.
Yeah.
He beat the Jets this year, brother. 10-9. Oh my goodness! If the Broncos win, man, oh my god, it'll be hilarious the next time we're on the show here talking about Bo Nix. I'm not disagreeing with you by any means. I don't think the Broncos are going in.
No, you're just like, no, you go. You take this one. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this: Would you put your money on the Kansas City spread?
Well, I mean, that's a different conversation.
8 points. I don't know about that. That's a little iffy. All that. But I do think they win, man. And like, I don't know, because the Chiefs, last week, only 30 to 24, so the defense didn't look great against Bucks, but still, I do feel like Mahomes looked a lot better last week, right? And if the defense can just kind of match that this week, they could cover if the offense looked like it looked last week.
DeAndre Hopkins wound back the clock. Travis Kelce went for 100 yards. Kareem Hunt went for over 100 rushing yards. Like, they can do whatever they want to you. It just doesn't seem to matter. And again, if this game was in Mile High, maybe I'd be talking about it a little differently. Bo Nix is not coming into the undefeated Arrowhead Stadium and giving them their first loss today. That deal.
The Chiefs' loss is coming next week in Buffalo. That's when we're a week early. We're a week early here, but
actually, you're setting me up for failure on this one, Scotty, because this could be looked at as kind of a trap game now that you bring that to my attention.
That's fair. So, it's fair.
Way to go, dude. No, I'm kidding.
We'll see.
I like the Chiefs in this one. And honestly, with a lower total, I'd be interested to take a look. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'd be interested to take a look at Chiefs team props, like a team total or something, because I know what that Broncos defense is and how it can frustrate Mahomes. But if you're talking in the mid 20 points, it could be something I look at for today. Let's move on to another big time game today, man. The 6-2 Pittsburgh Steelers, led by Russell Wilson, take on the undefeated at home 7-2 Washington Commanders, led by rookie sensation Jaden Daniels. Is this the game, as Eagles fans, not only do we want to watch at 1 o'clock, but is this the game we put our money where our mouth is and bet on this game? I'm riding with D-Rab on this one. Let's go, Pittsburgh. 2-point spread, Washington. Washington getting the advantage there. I think this is the biggest test. It's something that you and I talked about. Was it Thursday or was it Friday that we talked about the Commanders and I went on a little bit of a tailspin? I think it was Thursday. And I just pointed out their schedule or lack thereof of their 7 wins. And I want to see what he and they look like against that Pittsburgh Steelers defense today. I'm interested. I don't want to call it a long day. I think he is that great, and I think that Terry McLaurin finally has a legitimate threat at the quarterback position. Is Brian Robinson Jr. out today, I believe?
All signs were pointing towards that. Let me see.
Of course, I can't see him on this little injury report right here. I just want to, because I think this is a big deal for them, because I don't think you can rely on Austin Eckler to kind of carry the majority of the load today. And
Brian Robinson hamstring has been ruled out.
He's out. Yeah. I think that is a big deal, man. I think Brian Robinson Jr. is some kind of, top 10, top 12 running back in the league? No, I don't. But I think their ability to balance him and Eckler next to a Jaden Daniels who can use his athleticism has been a part of their success. And you take him out of the way, I just don't think Eckler is going to get the ball or should get the ball that much. And I don't know who is next on the depth chart. I don't know who's next in the pecking order. So I think that's a way that Pittsburgh's defense can kind of pin their ears back and focus on frustrating Jaden Daniels today. I like the Steelers. Give me the Steelers, Scotty.
Yeah, man, this is honestly my game of the week. It's the one I'm most interested in, obviously outside of the Eagles game. Just looking at the matchup, it feels like a game Washington should lose. It feels like a game Jaden Daniels should have some growing pains, right? Like that's what it looks like to me on paper here. Coming into this game, man, the Commanders' offense is number 3 overall. Number 3 rushing attack in the NFL, number 11 passing attack, number 3 scoring attack so far this season. When you look at Pittsburgh's defense, they're 9th overall, 4th against the run, 21st against the pass, 2nd in scoring. So what that tells me, right? Like if we're going off storylines, how these teams have looked coming into this game, that tells me this is a game Jaden Daniels is going to have to go out here and throw the football down the field. He's going to have to go out here and win this game with his arm. And I think that's where he could have some struggles, man. Like, it's not to say that he's not a good player, that he won't be a great player going forward. It's just against defenses of this caliber with this type of pedigree, I guess is what you would call it. I'm looking at Mike Tomlin specifically, like, rookie quarterbacks against Mike Tomlin coach teams. Like, it just doesn't seem to fare well. And I know that there is some tendencies that Jaden Daniels has shown over this season. To your point, they haven't played the greatest amount of talent, right, on their schedule. So I know it's in Washington, 2-point spread. I actually got Pittsburgh at 2.5 last night, so I like that I got it early there. With a little bit of an extra point, maybe. I guess
I'm literally about to just say, fuck the points and give me the juice.
Yeah, I do feel you. I took the points because I do think Pittsburgh's going to win.
Yeah.
I think they turned Jaden Daniels over today. I think the Commanders show finally some signs of weakness, man. Like, they've looked really good this season. But it's time for them to take a step back. They're not Super Bowl contenders, man. Like, you can go out here, you can lose this game to Pittsburgh, and that's fine. Like, it's not a bad loss. It's a loss.
And I pointed this out to you before. It's not just the schedule for me. It's just I get frustrated when guys overachieve that maybe shouldn't overachieve, because I don't know why. I should like the underdog story. I should like the no-name guys looking good. I don't know why it bothers me. I think more so from a betting perspective, right? When you bet against these guys and then you have a bunch of, guys you didn't even know about before tearing your team apart. Like I said, you're missing Brian Robinson Jr. today. He's your leading running back. Austin Eckler has only carried the ball 50 times this year, Scotty, for 282 yards. So he's going to get a more bulk of the carries. And then you have Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez Jr. on their depth chart that have gotten touches, who have played in 9 and 3 games. So McNichols looks like the other guy that'll get the ball. Jeremy McNichols and Austin Eckler. Let's throw that out there. Then I'm looking at, besides Terry McLaurin, because I do think Terry McLaurin is a top 15-ish type of wide receiver. You see what happens when you get him a true quarterback. He's a very good wide receiver, okay?
Yeah.
Past that, like I brought up on Thursday night, you were talking about 30-some-year-old Zach Ertz, who hasn't looked like himself since he departed from Philadelphia. Noah Brown and Olamide Zaccheaus and Luke McCaffrey are your next 3 wide receivers behind Terry McLaurin. Tell me who is frustrating and scaring that Steelers defense today. Tell me who. Unless Jaden Daniels makes every tight window throw imaginable, unless they're able to run the ball with Austin Eckler, unless McDaniels is picking up big plays with his legs, I don't think they can score enough. And on the opposite side, I feel like we're focusing so much on the Commanders, rightfully so, we're Eagles fans. But the Steelers, let's talk about that offense, man. Since Russell Wilson has taken over, there's a different gear that they've been in. There's a deep playability. George Pickens is being unleashed. Najee Harris in the running game has some sustainability to it. I just don't think, playing against that Steelers defense, I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be able to score in the mid to high 20s this afternoon, and I don't think that will be good enough to slow down Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense.
I do hear you, and I'm just presenting this as devil's advocate. The way that the Commanders win this game today, with like the lack of weapons or brand, names in skill position for their team, is if Jaden Daniels is just that good. Like that's the way, and that's the way it's looked this season. He's making Olamide Zaccheaus look better. He's making Zach Ertz look rejuvenated. Like he is making these other guys look better than maybe what they are or maybe what they've looked throughout the rest of their career. But the question that we get the answer to today, at least, is Jaden Daniels that good that he can go against Pittsburgh defense today, make all the right decisions, use his legs just enough to get key first downs, that is, and just, like you said, make all the right plays? Because I do think that's what it will take versus the other side. Russell Wilson, maybe he makes a mistake today. It's not going to be the end of the world for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have a great defense, like you mentioned. So I do think you look at Pittsburgh, they can come out and take risks down the field today. They can go to their big targets in George Pickens. Looks like Mike Williams is going to be active for this game as well, who they acquired from the Jets.
I forgot about that move.
So, and Marshawn Lattimore is out today for the Commanders as well. He's not playing just yet. I am looking at the numbers for the Commanders defense. Looks like their rush defense is 29th in the NFL. Compared to their pass defense, it's 6th. So take that for what it is, right? We know that those numbers don't always matter, but seems like the Steelers should be able to run the football today against the Commanders, which is going to make a long day for the Commanders, in my opinion. If you can't.
With all that said, that just has decided Dylan's 1:00 bet, and that is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was back and forth. I was iffy. No, it's going to be the Steelers before we get to the.
I had them down as one of my best bets as well. Like I said, I'm just presenting that as devil's advocate. That's not how I feel it's going to play out today. I think Jaden Daniels looks like a rookie today. Like that's all we're saying at this point. I had Pittsburgh plus 2.5 as like one of my best bets. Minus 104. I got it last night, but I took it because I think they're going to win. So.
Let's get it, brother. Other 1:00 game before we get into some of these later games. Niners Bucks. One team depleted by injuries, another getting on track to get a very, very, very big piece back today. CMC looking to make his season debut all the way in week 10, man.
You checked his anytime touchdown number?
No, what is it?
It was minus 210 last night, man.
Get the fuck out. Dude. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but what are we doing?
Minus 210. Come on.
Bro, Derrick Henry to score on Thursday night was like minus 300.
Yeah.
And and by the way, if Lamar Jackson doesn't get tripped up at the 2-yard line, Derrick Henry doesn't score in this game.
Yeah.
So like that shit I can't stand. That's
minus 200 now.
And how absolutely ridiculous some of these anytime touchdown score lines are across all books. But nonetheless, it is a huge, obviously, understatement to say that it's big for the 49ers to be getting Christian McCaffrey back right now when they're still in the thick of their division race. You would think with all these injuries, some season-ending injuries, no Brandon Ayuk, obviously. Brock Purdy's been turning the ball over a little too much this season, uncharacteristic of the last year and a half of them. You would think, maybe they've fallen behind a bit. Wrong. Their division leaders 5-4 with a game in hand in the Cardinals. The Seahawks are 4-5. The Rams are right around there. So they are literally right there, a half a game out of first place as they get McCaffrey back. Which as an Eagles fan, pretty annoying, right? Like I would have loved to see Terry and her 49ers just struggle a little bit more this year. But now they'll start to hit stride. Bucks. No Mike Evans. Season-ending injury to Chris Godwin. Depleted. Took the undefeated Chiefs Arrowhead to overtime last year.
They're still playing tough.
Bay. Baker is looking incredible this year, man. I mean, if his team wasn't 4-5, if they were, you're talking about Baker Mayfield in MVP talks right now. You still possibly could.
Top 3, top 4.
He's been so good. That 49ers defense with all the injuries, they're not as lethal and as scary as they've been over the last 2 years. Can Baker and the Bucks hang in this one? It's a 6.5 point road favorite today when it comes to San Fran. Total's at 50.5. Jesus.
Yeah, this game is interesting. It's an obvious spot. It looks like not a bounce back game for San Fran, but just a game, you get CMC reacclimated to the game. You don't have to necessarily overuse him today against depleted depleted Bucks offense. but it just feels like I've felt that way each and every week about teams that are going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers while they're depleted. And they always seem to, for one, cover the spread, and two, play better, way better than what I could have imagined them to. So I feel a little weird doubting the Bucs today, but it also does feel like this could be the tipping point. This could be the point where you look at the Bucs today and you say, man, they really are missing Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Wow, Baker really is starting to show signs that he's missing these guys, right? They had a great game against Kansas City last week on Monday Night Football. It was great. It was a great performance. There's some people out there that think they should have won, right? If they go for two or whatever the case may be. I think that is more of an outlier. I think that they come back to earth a little bit today. It's not on national television, right? It's not in front of all the bright lights and stuff like that. And it is a game where San Fran gets back an elite weapon. I'm super excited about it as a Dynasty CMC owner.
I'm interested though, man. Like, obviously,
that's all 20 touches is going to be.
Okay, that was going to kind of be my point of how much work does he get this week, coming off of what sounded like possibly like season ending. Like, he's not
two Achilles.
Both Achilles. Like, so. We'll see. We'll see what he looks like in his debut, and obviously just brings a dynamic to the Niners offense that they've been missing all year long, obviously. Vikings Jags, man. 6-2 Vikings, 7-point favorites on the road. I know you pointed out, I think it says questionable still, but I believe Trevor Lawrence is out for this matchup today.
He is out. Yeah,
I
did see that confirmed.
So no Trevor Lawrence. Jags 2-7 at home. I mean, this game should be a rout, right? It should be a Vikings blowout.
It should be. It should be. And, it feels like last week was kind of the Jags, like, underdog moment where they can come back and, like, steal the show and beat Philadelphia in Philly. Doug returns to the link, and it just didn't work out, right? They fell short. And I feel like that is very depleting whenever stuff like that happens. When you're about to have that breakthrough win, we're not as bad as what we've looked this whole season type of situation, and then I think it just sets you up for more of a letdown moment here. The game is in Jacksonville. It is still Minnesota. It is still Sam Darnold. I still think the Minnesota Vikings defense is going to be a little too good for this Jags offense without Trevor Lawrence. The one caveat, the one devil's advocate thing that I can present here for the Jags, we haven't seen them with another quarterback. Maybe Trevor Lawrence was just bad. That's the other side of it. I don't know if that's true or not.
Who is in line to start for them?
Good question. I don't know. Let me see here. Who is starting for the Jags?
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Oh, okay. Mac Jones, man. Can he revive himself in Jacksonville? Is that why I've seen people taking the Jags, man, taking the Jags points. I've seen some cappers taking Jags money line. I'm not touching the Vikings -7 either, to be clear. I'm not touching that. But it is an interesting spot. I don't see why the Minnesota Vikings would lose here, but where was it earlier I guess it was San Fran versus Minnesota. So that's backwards. That's not a good example. I don't know. Minnesota, can they just continue to look like a 6-2 team? Can they?
I do think so. And
dominant in that facet.
Obviously, I agree with you. It is still Sam Darnold, excuse me. And I think that's why there's always, in my opinion, been a cap on the success that the Vikings are going to enjoy this year. However, I will say, even over the last, 2 losses or the games they lost, specifically the Rams game, like Sam Darnold's still been good. Like they're still 6-2, and in their 1 or 2 losses, it's not like Sam Darnold. Oh, there's Sammy. Sammy's coming back down to earth. The Rams game, I thought he was really good. Could have had the ball to end the game. So we'll see how he continues.
Can he continue to prove it?
Yeah, I think they're able to run the ball well against Jacksonville today. I I just don't know. Obviously, there's always an unknown with a backup quarterback, and especially it's not nobody. It's Mac Jones. It's
Mac
former,
Jones. Yes, pedigree.
Yeah, so we'll see if he can keep him in the game. Last 2 or 3 games to get into, man. 425. While we are playing, the Jets are also playing and taking on the Arizona Cardinals, who are leading the NFC West Division. Jets 3-6, 1-4 on the road this year, trying to scratch and claw and fight and keep themselves out of the hole and try to stay in wild card contention out in the AFC. Last week we talked about it, was kind of just the vision, right? The Texans and the shorthanded CJ Stroud go to the Meadowlands, and the Jets in the second half pull away. Garrett Wilson, 2 TDs in the second half, both ridiculous catches. Devontae Adams on a go route. They connect for his first touchdown in a Jets uniform to ice the game. The defense played well. They turned over Houston, and that's just kind of the vision. Now, you take that win, and you head into Arizona. You head into the desert. You head into Kyler Murray and James Conner and Marvin Harrison Jr., a team that has played pretty well this year. Jets, 1.5-point favorites on the road today, man. And I can't tell if that supports my thought or it's making me nervous of my thought. I stupidly, idiotically like the Jets today. I think that Rodgers and Adams and Wilson and maybe even a little bit of a Breece Hall game today can get active enough to win this ball game. I think their defense can slow down Kyler Murray a little bit today. But Kyler Murray, as we talked about on Thursday, man, has protected the football. He's been the best at it in the NFC West division this year. He's played very, very well lately. I like the Jets. I'm scared to take them.
Yeah. And I do get it. And part of me does wonder, like last week, did the Jets figure it out? You got Adams in the end zone. You got Wilson in the end zone. 30th ranked rushing offense in the NFL with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, man. Like, it doesn't make sense to be that bad running the football. In return, you have the Cardinals offense. They host the 7th best rushing offense in the NFL, 12th best offense overall, going against the Jets' 21st ranked rushing defense. So it is a little bit of a concern there. Just as far as if the Jets can't stop the Cardinals from running the football, that's where Kyler Murray's going to have a field day out there. So that'll be the matchup that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the Jets defense versus that Cardinals offense and what they're able to do to kind of hold them down. I think the Jets will get into the 20s today. Like, they're going to score some points. I think Adams and Wilson, at least that offense, that passing offense is going right now. Aaron Rodgers is getting the ball out. He's getting the playmakers the ball. Can they get the rush going? That will kind of open everything up, obviously keep everything balanced, and that's how you really take control of this game if you're the Jets. I just don't know if they're going to be able to run the football, man, to take time off the clock, to keep the ball out of Kyler's hands. I ultimately do lean Cardinals in this game, but it is one of these middle-of-the-road type of games where both of these teams are trying to prove something, right? Like, Cardinals are trying to prove that they are an above 500 playoff contending team, right? The Jets are just trying to get back into the picture. And both of these teams need this win, because if the Cards go out here and lose today, 49ers get CMC back, win today, things start looking very, very bleak in Arizona very quickly, right? So all I'm saying is Arizona get a W today and you're 6-4. You give yourself some room to breathe. You'll play the San Francisco 49ers later this season. You can kind of look forward to that. But if you kind of, you drop this game against a 3-6 team, let's take the Jets and Aaron Rodgers out of it. A 3-6 football team is coming into Arizona today, and you drop that game, it just doesn't bode well for the rest of their season for my money, man. So this is kind of a must win for both teams. I am going to go Cards at home, but to your point, I say the Cards should win this game at home. You can look at it the same way from the Jets side too. With the talent they have, they should win against the Cardinals.
Correct. Anyway. I think the biggest thing for me is if you wipe the slates clean.
Yeah.
And you just took these teams on paper, talent, what you thought of these two teams heading into this season, who would you like in this game? Now, obviously, that's just not how life works. That's not how football works. You can't just wipe away the issues that the Jets have had and firing a head coach, etc. But it does. I'm not bought into the Jets whatsoever.
Yeah.
I do just think that Rodgers could maybe have a successful day today. I think
that's fair.
There was some trust and comfortability last week, and especially in the second half. So he's got to protect the football, just like Kyler has to protect the football. And we'll see who comes away in this one, man. We got Eagles Dallas to talk about later. We had a couple games earlier. We talked about the game of the week with the Steelers and the Commanders, our best bet.
Yes,
Lions Texans Sunday Night Football. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun game, especially if Nico Collins, and I know Tank Dell's questionable as well, especially if those two can go today, because obviously Stephon Diggs is out for the year, just completely depleted in that wide receiver room for Houston. But 6-3, undefeated at home, taking on 7-1 Detroit, undefeated on the road. Detroit, 3.5-point road favorites tonight, Scotty. I think that says a lot about the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff right in the thick of things for MVP conversation. Ben Johnson and this offense continues to fly high. Can the Texans defense find a way to slow them down at all?
This is a tough game. And to your point, this one is probably even harder for me to make a pick in than the Pittsburgh and Washington game. I think the Nico Collins, if he's active tonight, him returning, I think that is huge for CJ Stroud and just the success they can have offensively. I know they lost Stephon Diggs, but you get Nico Collins back, and then you have Tank Dell, and then all of a sudden it doesn't look so unfamiliar from last season and the success he had there. So I think that could really, really help the Texans at home here. The Detroit Lions, on paper, they should win this game. They're the more balanced offense. Do they have a better defense? I like Houston's defense a lot, to be clear. Detroit has a big play defense, if that makes sense. They can get turnovers. They get big sacks. They're a great defense in that standpoint. It feels like a game, like if the Detroit Lions aren't just going to lose one game this season, lose it in Houston against the Texans, who need a win to kind of get back on the shrine. They're getting Nico Collins back. It's exciting. Sunday Night Football in Houston. Great game to, showcase their talents. From that standpoint, I do just feel like the Lions are like due for a loss. And I do feel like the Texans are good enough to beat the Lions.
Yeah.
Do I think that the Texans are a better team? No. I think they're good enough to beat them on a any given Sunday type of scenario. So I am leaning Texans in this one. I'm not putting my money on it. I'm not that interested in
we'll have to find something else in this game to throw our coin.
The one I do like, Dylan, and this might sound crazy. I don't know. It might sound crazy. But having Nico Collins back, I do kind of like CJ Stroud over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I think they're going to have to score points tonight against Detroit to stay in the game. I think they're going to have to throw the football. 1.5 passing touchdowns over, plus 116 when I checked it last night. So
okay,
it's got some juice.
Okay,
man.
I could rock with that potentially, dude.
Maybe.
Look, the Lions are favored for a reason. I've said consistently for the last month or so that the Lions are the best team in the NFC. And I still believe that. But from a Texans perspective, what can we really make of you if you can't beat a good football team? Now, they have a good win this year. They beat the Bills 23-20 in Houston in the middle of the season. You've lost to the Vikings. You got your ass kicked by the Vikings.
Yeah.
You've lost to the Packers.
Yep.
You just lost to the Jets last week. At what point do you stop beating the Colts and the Jaguars and the Patriots? And do you go and compete with a good football team?
Yeah.
You're underdogs. You're not favored. I'm not saying by any stretch that they should win this game. But at what point do we stop giving all the excuses in the world? Because and again, I know they've been shorthanded the last couple of weeks. I know they have no Stephon Diggs. I get that. But this is a Texans team with everything they acquired this offseason, with how CJ Stroud looked in his rookie year. This is a Houston team that we looked at as potentially a top 3 team in the AFC, and they have not lived up to it, even with being 6-3 on the year. It's kind of been uninspiring. CJ Stroud has been uninspiring. At what point do you go out on national television and showcase that you are a contender in the AFC by just competing with the Lions?
Yeah. That's my question as well. That's my question as well, man. Can they come out, show up? Like I said, I'll take the Texans in this one, but would I put my money on it? No. No. Detroit is that good that I would not bet against Detroit, basically. I think that's where I'm at, right? I think that's ultimately where I'm at with the Detroit Lions. And to that point, man, I know the spread is a little bit different compared to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Broncos, but Kansas City is at home against the Denver Broncos today, and they're 8-point favorites. And I feel more skeptical taking them at the 8 points against the Broncos and Bo Nix than I do taking like the line. Do you know what I mean? Like what I'm trying to say? Like, do I feel better about the Lions than I do about the undefeated Chiefs? I don't know. The Chiefs are still number 1 in my power rankings. I don't know.
I think the issue is this: there's when you're getting into 8.5 point spreads, when you're talking about the Chiefs game,
it's just a lot.
You're getting close to like 9 points isn't a blowout, obviously, but you're getting close to double digits, and they'd have to control the game. Whereas and also the Lions are playing a much better team. Let's not get that twisted either.
Yeah.
Like, the Lions are the contenders with the Chiefs, but we're going to give the Chiefs the edge still. Yes, that's why whatever. But the Texans and the Broncos just aren't in the same realm. I don't 6-3, 5. I don't care. Like the Texans are.
What I'm saying though, I almost felt more comfortable taking the Lions spread, even as I'm leaning Houston, than I am taking that Kansas City spread.
I agree because I think if the Lions are going to win, they're going to win by 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that realm.
But I feel that.
We'll see, man. Last game, Monday Night Football. Before we head on over to the pregame show for Eagles Cowboys, Miami 2-6. Against the Rams, 4-4. The Rams, this is an important game for them because they're still right in the thick of things for the NFC West. We just talked about the Cardinals. We talked about San Francisco. We've talked about Seattle, who's on a bye this week at 4-5. Big game for the Rams at home. A game, do we want to say they should win? Because here's what I want to throw to you. I'll play devil's advocate a little bit here. Dolphins, 2-6. Bad. Missed Tua for a while. Bad. Since Tua's come back, the offense has not been the problem for the Miami Dolphins. They have moved the ball. They have scored points. They've been in positions at end of games to win games.
Yeah.
So while I want to sit here and go, the 500 Rams should handle business at home against the 2-win Dolphins, I don't think it's that simple in this game. And I think the spread is telling you that with the Rams only a 1.5 favorite at home on Monday night.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. This is a game that I am staying away from, especially spread, money line, anything there. I'm just not confident enough in either side, in either direction, if that makes sense. But to your point, in LA, the Rams on an upward trajectory, right? Getting healthier, getting Puka, getting Cooper back, putting together some successful weeks back to back now. They're on the right path, right, to get to the postseason and try to compete in this division. It just feels like it could be like a huge letdown spot, man, if they're just not that good, right? If they're not that good defensively, it could be a very huge letdown spot. You got the Dolphins on national television. They're having a horrible season, but they could look good on national television if that offense is high flying on Monday night. There might be a little bit more motivation there to get something going. I guess it just speaks to how much I don't trust the Rams overall this season, even against the 2-6 Miami team that has looked dismal, looked a little bit better since Tua got back, but the defense does need to revamp because the numbers have dropped. It's funny, significantly since the last time we talked about the Dolphins and their defense. The defense is definitely fell a little bit since then. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I do think the Rams should win at home. It's a bigger game for them, means more for them, but definitely just a sketchy line, sketchy situation overall.
Agreed. Let me ask you something as we wrap up the show. Let's say the Rams do win, the Dolphins lose.
Yeah.
How safe is Mike McDaniel's job? We talked about his incompetence when he doesn't have Tua and not adjusting or changing anything within his offensive system, no matter who the backup quarterback is and what his strengths and weaknesses are and how bad they have looked. And then Tua comes back, maybe when he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Just for this year, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they've lost both games that Tua's been back because of their defense. Like, at what point is Mike? I get it. Tua missed 4 weeks? Let's say 4 weeks. But if you get to the end of the season and he plays the rest of the season, and the Miami Dolphins with this offense finishes 5-12, I mean, at what point is he still the head coach in Miami?
Yeah, no, I do agree. I do agree. Ultimately, I think it is something that has to come into question, man. When you look at this Dolphins team and what they've been doing the last few years, feels like it's been 3 years since that Thursday night football game where they're hyping up the Dolphins offense and their crazy numbers coming into Philadelphia, and then they just get the doors blown off of them. I think it was actually last season, but it feels so long ago that we've seen this offense actually look as explosive as it is prescribed to be on the depth chart. When you look at Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle out on the outside, you look at Devin, is it Devon Achane? I don't say his name often.
Yeah, A-Chain.
I don't say his name often, but A-Chain in the backfield. He's obviously a very dynamic running back, and they just haven't been able to put it together consistently. They've tried to add talent on the defensive side of things. Now that's going a little haywire at the moment. So just can't seem to put it together. And I think at some point that has to fall on the head coach. So if Robert Saleh can be on the hot seat, yeah, I think Coach McDaniel can be as well.
No, I agree, dude. Interesting Sunday slate. Interesting Week 10 slate. There's a decent amount of big-time matchups, and then there's some snoozers that we don't really have to worry about. Speaking of snoozers, Panthers-Giants, 17-7 right now, 9 minutes to go in the game. Giants down 10 with the ball, and Carolina's 2 first and goal. So could be a one-possession game to wrap things up over there, man. What an awful game.
It's interesting, man. I because you see me over here on my phone a little bit. I had to keep my eye on that game. I had $20 on the Carolina Panthers spread plus 6.5. I had Chuba touchdown, and I had Bryce Young 150 passing yards. It was plus 283, right? And obviously they're sitting in a good position right now. They're up 4 now. Giants just scored. Chuba has already scored. But Bryce Young with 113 yards, 113 pass yards, bro. I had to cash out because I'm not gonna sit here and lose money on the Carolina Panthers in a Sunday morning football game in Germany. So I cashed out. I actually profited $4.47. So little W this morning, but no, I can't trust Bryce Young, bro. 113. How does he have 113? And they're up in this game. I don't understand it, but I guess that's just how bad the New York Giants are, my man.
I agree, dude. They're so bad. Both teams are so bad. Giants did just tie the game, or not tie the game up. Excuse me. Whoa. Score, so it is 17-14. So we'll see. Chuba Hubbard, interesting. Last little point here. Obviously, the way he's been playing, what he's doing today, seems like he deserves the money, but the Carolina Panthers and the way they're throwing money out to different running backs and trading up to draft the one kid in this past year's draft class. And
Jonathan Brooks, right?
We're looking at people were talking about the Eagles and overpaying for Saquon Barkley at the running back position. And I'm watching this poverty franchise. First of all, they gave Miles Sanders 4 years a year ago. Doesn't even play.
Chuba is going crazy in this game, though.
He is.
19 carries, 138 yards, a tutty. The only reason it's funny, I traded with Hunter in the comments here. In Dynasty, I traded DeAndre Swift for Chuba Hubbard and Evan Ingram, tight end.
Oh.
Chuba Hubbard balling out. DeAndre Swift's been great, though. DeAndre Swift has been great this season. But
things picking up in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
Except Matt Eberflus, but
maybe today and against New England, maybe he'll get going today. Maybe Chicago can get a W.
In that game with the 38-point total,
one I won't even put an eye on. But
no.
Yeah, man. Let's go talk some birds and boys.
So guys, with that said, if you are new to the channel, if you're watching live right now on Twitter, make sure to first hit that follow button, but then check out the Turf Talk YouTube channel. The link is right in our bio in the link tree. Subscribe, like this video, share it out, friends, family, whoever else is a football fanatic like yourself, like us. We're here every Thursday night and Sunday morning talking just NFL football, our takeaways, our previews, our best bets, etc. Now, make sure to check us out on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel, where we go get into DSM pre-game live Eagles Cowboys preview and predictions. Peace out, everybody.
Let's get it. Go Birds.